Populations and Resources Unit, Lesson 1.4, Births and Deaths in the Jelly Population. Activity 2, Evaluating Moon Jelly Population Evidence. The ecologist from the Glacier Sea Research Center told us that the moon jelly population increased in size. How does she know this? It would not be possible to count all of the moon jellies in an entire population. So how do ecologists actually know if a population is increasing or decreasing in size? In a moment, you will watch a short video to learn about how ecologists collect evidence about population changes. Video question: how do ecologists get evidence about populations? Students, play the video. Sample: a small part that is meant to show what the whole is like. The ecologist in the video discussed how it is often impossible to count all of the organisms in a population. Instead, ecologists collect samples to provide an accurate picture of how the population is really changing. Some samples do a better job of representing the entire population than others. Evidence criterion. Samples that represent as much of the whole as possible provide stronger evidence. Today, we will practice using evidence criterion to evaluate evidence like ecologists do. Even though we have heard that the Glacier Sea moon jelly population is increasing in size, evaluating evidence will help us to be more sure about that claim and also help us to understand more about the population changed over time. Each evidence card shows a map of a location where jellies were counted. Pay careful attention to this map to evaluate whether the sample represents the entire population. Ecologists cannot count all of the organisms in a population. Instead, moon jellies in the Glacier Sea population were counted each year in a particular area over a period of 30 years. This data is used to make an estimate of how the population is changing. The graph shows an estimate of how the population changed from 1980 to 2010. Students, evaluate the evidence cards using the evaluation criteria. Moon jelly evidence B best represents the whole population because samples were collected at a greater number of locations. The samples described on moon jelly evidence A were collected at just one location. Counting more jellies at different locations provides a better representation of the entire jelly population. The graph shows estimates of the moon jelly population size change based on the samples. The graphs are not the same because the samples collected are not the same. The graph from moon jelly evidence B provides a more accurate estimate of the change in the jelly population. Now look closely at this graph because it provides the strongest evidence about the jelly population. The population stayed relatively stable from 1980 to 2000, although there are small increases and decreases during this time. Overall, the population size did not change before 2000. After 2000, the population increased. Now that we know more about how the jelly population size changed, you will make a model to show your thinking about how births compared to deaths in the moon jelly population when it was stable and when it was increasing. End of activity.